Welcome to Filling You In, a dental podcast with A Squared, where dentist entrepreneurs and spouses, Dr. Anushka Gaglani and Dr. Abhishek Nagaraj, welcome industry experts and innovators to explore trends in business practices, patient care, career development, and what it takes to be successful in dentistry.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Filling You In. I'm Dr. Abhishek Nagaraj.
And I'm Dr. Anushka Gaglani, collectively known as A Squared. We are going to introduce a very special guest today. He's a member of the Aero Dental family. By the time we connected with Dr. Michael Farr last year, he had already established a thriving practice in the Chicago suburbs called Smiles by Farr and had earned a stellar reputation for providing excellent patient-centered care.
Realizing that we shared the same values and vision, we were delighted to form a partnership with him at Smiles by Farr in order to help support him in reaching new goals for his practice. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Farr.
Thank you for having me.
The pleasure is ours. I want to dive in by asking you, let's just go back and rewind the time machine and find out what got you first interested in pursuing a career in dentistry.
Well, that's an awesome question. I've wanted to be a doctor since I was 9 years old. And for the longest time, I thought I was going to go to medical school. And when I got to college, I had an opportunity to shadow some surgeons who I knew because that was the area of medicine I was most interested in. And during that process, I got to realize that not only did I love the fact that they work with their hands, but I also realized some things I didn't like. I didn't like that they were controlled by the hospitals. And a lot of them had troubles with time management and lack of control. And that's when I started thinking, what could I do that was medically relevant where I could work with my hands and be my own boss? And that's when the idea of dentistry came about.
And what age was this?
I was 19, 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing.
Was anyone in your family a dentist or a physician, or were you just kind of like...
I do have a family member who's a dentist.
Okay.
I do.
Okay. All right. So take us through your career journey. What were some of the highs and maybe some of the lows of being a practicing dentist? And why did you decide to create your own practice?
So I'll start off with a low. When I first graduated from dental school and moved back to Illinois, my very first job was working with a dentist who was sick with cancer, and I started the job before the contract was completed. We ran into some contract negotiation problems, and after 7 weeks of working for the man, I found myself unemployed with a pregnant wife.
Oh,
So
wow.
that prompted me to find a practice that I could plant my feet in and start working hard. And that was out in Huntley at a group practice not too far down the street from where the office is now. During that time, I was allowed to buy my own practice. My boss was really cool about it and said, yeah, go ahead. And I bought my first practice in August of 2006. So that was a positive. And then after a couple of years of developing that, I was able to leave my associate position and focus on being my own boss. During that time, as everybody knows, there was a great recession in 2008. And then in 2009, I bought a second practice. And that's where Smiles by Farr began. It was originally located in a town called Buffalo Grove, which is a northwest suburb of Chicago. And I maintained the two practices for about 5 years before getting the idea to, hey, let's go into a growing community and take advantage of some growth potential. So I wound up moving Smiles by Farr from Buffalo Grove to Huntley, where it opened up as pretty much a de novo practice because it was over 30 miles away from where it was originally located. And that's where we've been ever since.
And it's a beautiful practice, if I may add that.
It really is. Dr. Farr, tell us a little bit about, so you open up Huntley. What happened after that? I know you went on to open one or two more other locations as well.
Well, so when I opened up Huntley in May of 2014, I relinquished the location in Buffalo Grove and maintained the practice in Barrington, and did that up until the pandemic happened. And when we were all shut down for almost 3 months, and got back to work, the volume was too high at both practices to be able to be at both. So I was able to sell the Barrington practice to focus on Huntley full time.
Wow, understood. I want to pivot a little bit away from the practice stuff to you as a dentist. Tell us a little bit about, you've placed an emphasis around restorative and implant dentistry in your own work, and you're damn good at it. What do you like about these modalities?
Well, I want to first give credit to the awesome mentors that I had in school who taught me so much about fixed and removable prosthodontics and oral surgery, because without that, I wouldn't have been able to appreciate the abilities that I have to be able to do these treatment modalities. What do I like about it? I love the fact that you start with the end in sight and you can create just about anything for a patient and then work backwards to set the platform and build on it. So with implants, there wasn't a lot of education in school about the placement of implants, but being that we had a very strong surgical background, being able to close the gap and connect the dots was really simple. I took a lot of continuing education, did a lot of self-study, read a lot of textbooks. And once I started implementing implant surgery into it, it became a lot more fun because being able to create a tooth from scratch and being able to do so by completely replacing the tooth with a root form implant not only made a whole lot of sense, but there weren't a lot of general dentists doing it, and I was really good at it. So I just went with it, and it's been great.
That's wonderful.
So, Mike, you come from a hardworking family in Chicago. Can you tell us a little bit about the lessons you learned from your father, who owned his own butcher shop, and how you integrated those into your own approach to being a business owner?
Oh, I would love to. My father is one of the hardest working people I've ever known. And he always taught us growing up that you have to work hard at what you do if you want to be able to benefit from it. So growing up in an environment where it was a very physical environment at that, being able to work hard taught me a lot about what it meant to be persistent and persevere. My father was also very good at delivering excellent customer service. So that was another valuable lesson that I learned, because if you can cater to your clientele and make them happy, you will not only get repeat business, but they'll go ahead and spread the word out, and you'll gain more clients from that. My father always did everything he could for his customers. Another thing that he was really good at was connecting with people. And that was another valuable lesson for me, because in dentistry, as you know, you have to be able to connect to your clients in order to be able to relate to them and then show them how and why the treatment needs that they have are necessary, and be able to get them to go ahead and choose to do that treatment.
That's amazing. I think Anushka and I can both vouch for the fact that you've kind of maintained similar standards of work ethic and hard work, and, patient reviews, they speak for you, and they did everything. And when Anushka and I partnered with you at Smiles by Farr, it was important for us to find someone who practiced at similar standards and who had a certain standard for themselves. So it's really wonderful to know that. What are tell us a little bit about, it's after 20 years of being a practice owner, right? You decided to partner with a group like Aero Dental. It's our fortune. Walk us through why you decided to partner with us and how you chose us. Obviously, there are so many different options and opportunities out there with so many DSOs.
And I know that a lot of them were knocking on your door. You had told us that.
Well, the answer is really easy. Your vision. I really admire what you guys are set out to do, and the growth that you want to achieve, and everything that you want to do with Aero Dental Group. Your positivity is intoxicating. You guys are the values that you possess are really in alignment with the values that I've had and developed over the last 20 years of my career. So for me, it was a really easy decision.
I think for us too, I'm thinking about the first meeting we had, and we'd gone to dinner, and we were sitting across from each other. And I think I turned to Abhishek after the dinner meeting. I was like, "Is this real? Like, what's the red flag here?
What's the catch?" We asked her.
Catch, because you just speaking of values, I think we were so aligned from the get-go. And we felt that same kind of positivity from you that, you wanted to see more growth. You wanted to, you knew that there was a future for yourself here. And I think we just kind of hit it off right away. So that was really cool.
And Anushka, one other thing too that kind of stands out in my head is how forthcoming Mike was about some of the problems he was having in his practice. I think a lot of times as business owners, we tend to keep that close to our chest just because we want to portray to the external world that everything is good, right? And I remember you were like pretty quickly you were able to get vulnerable within like the first 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
If you ask us how did we know, it's at the 20-minute mark when you were able to get so vulnerable and real about some of the problems you were having. It was like, okay, like this is our person, because like this is the type of person we can work with and actually try to help. And I remember that moment pretty clearly.
I do too.
So
Awesome.
now that, we kind of, and by the way, I think if I remember, you'd found us. How did you even find us? Because I don't think we reached out to you.
I was doing some internet searches and I came across your group. Someone might have mentioned it to me as well. And I went ahead and looked you up and looked at your website and read your bios. And I said, this is a group that I should definitely reach out to and try to connect with and feel them out, because your presentation was really strong and really, really good. And that's what prompted me to pick up the phone and reach out.
Yeah, that's
That's amazing.
crazy. Because I was
Yeah.
thinking about that. I'm like, how did we even connect? It's amazing. Serendipity. That's what it is.
Serendipity. That's right. That's right.
So now that, I think if I can speak for this, I think we kind of did this in February of last year. And for me, it's been an amazing ride. I've had so much fun getting to know your team, getting to know you, being part of this amazing practice that you've built. What are some of the things that you feel have come out of this partnership with Areo, and how has that impacted your personal life?
Well, that's a really good question. The first thing I want to say about that in answering you is you guys are amazing. And not only have I gained two of the best partners anybody could ever ask for, you guys have become family to me. I can always count on you and I can always rely on you. So that said, what it's done for the practice is it's allowed me to take the inefficiencies that have been plaguing my practice, and I'm sure a lot of other practices, if people are being really open and honest about it, and it's allowed me to be able to face them and come up with ways to overcome them, so that I can go ahead and elevate my ability and practice to the next level. So there's been a
Yeah.
lot of really positive changes in the practice, everything from scheduling to staff, which, as you know, is an ongoing thing.
Mhm.
But I think that culture is so important
Yep.
in any even if you're a standalone practice, you're not part of a group. You have to have a good culture in order to develop and maintain a good team. So those are some really powerful things that I didn't realize how important they were until it actually came into the spotlight. And that was one of the most valuable things you guys have brought to the table for me, is being able to see exactly clearer than the way I saw it before, what the issues were and are and will be in the future, and be able to confront them and face them to overcome them.
Absolutely. And it's a lot of open and honest conversations that we've had. And that's the comfort that we have as partners in this, right? That we should be open and honest. And how do we get, because the ultimate end goal is we all want the same result. We all want to win,
Absolutely.
right? But how do we do this in a way?
I
Correct.
think, what you said something that really resonated with me, and dentistry is very lonely, right? You're the doctor in the practice, you're practicing, you're the owner, and you may have friends that are also practicing. You may have friends that also own practices, but it's still very isolating because they're not coming in to help with your team. They're not, you don't have anyone to bounce ideas off of. And I
100%.
think for me, that's what, trust me, we went our first, second, third practices, we faced exactly the same things. But the thing is, at least we had each other. And I think that's what's been so amazing about this too, is now we have a third of us, and just being able to bounce ideas off of each other and have somebody to turn to, even for us, has been just completely instrumental in how we view everything. And for what it's worth, when you said family, we completely agree, right? We were at your daughter's bat mitzvah.
That's right.
It's been just so great to be part of this, and we couldn't be more grateful and more appreciative that this is the situation we are in.
That makes three of us.
That's awesome. Speaking of team, Mike, you said team and culture. I want to dig deep a little bit on that. You'd built a great team at Smiles by Farr, and I know you have some really good insights into finding the right people and growing and maintaining an effective team. Give us some insights on that.
Well, one of the things that I learned throughout this entire journey is you have to be very direct with people on what their responsibilities are. And you have to hold them accountable to their responsibilities. Because when you hire somebody, it's not just you're filling a role. It's an agreement between the employee and the business that these are the functions they're going to do. And it's really important that people understand their roles with specific goals and expectations, and there have to be metrics in place that they can measure themselves against so that they can improve where they need improvement. They can continue to shine where they're doing well at. And there has to be not just a good culture for them where they feel good about showing up to work every day, but there also has to be rewards for them when they go above and beyond.
Yeah, that's pretty spot on, right? We look at responsibilities and accountability, and the difference between the two is accountability is tied to a result and responsibility isn't, right? So most people kind of get that confused a little bit. I like that you said there have to be key metrics, which we're huge proponents of at Areo, right? We have scorecards and measurables because data-driven decision-making through data is so much more effective than just a feeling or an opinion, because those are just feelings and opinions at the end of the day, right? And not that there isn't room for opinions and feelings, but when you tie that with the data, then we can validate some feelings, whether they're right or wrong, right? So
you nailed it on the head. It validates everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. What were you looking to achieve by partnering with a group like Areo? I know we talked a little bit about it, but what is it you were looking for?
I didn't want to do it alone anymore. After 20 years, like you said, it's lonely. The landscape of the industry is changing. And if you're going to keep up with changing times and be competitive, you really need to be affiliated. It's getting harder and harder to be a standalone practice. Plus, it was important to me that there be some type of succession strategy in place. A lot of my specialist colleagues who were young at practice even were all saying the same thing. It was challenging to get referrals because a lot of their referring general dentist practice offices were getting bought out. The doctors were retiring, and the new owners were starting to keep everything in-house. So they saw that their landscape was changing, and that got me thinking, what's happening in the industry? Because when you're working alone in your own practice, you've got the blinders on. You don't really notice and are aware of what's happening in the entire industry. But when you take a step back and look at it and realize that, hey, it's evolving. More and more DSOs are popping up every day. The DSOs that have been around for a long time are getting bigger and bigger. And before you know it, the office down the street is now affiliated. And then all of a sudden, half a dozen of the offices in town are affiliated. How are you going to maintain a presence and compete with that when you're standalone? You don't have all the advantages that they have. So for me, it was about teaming up with the right group who share the same vision that I do regarding comprehensive, exceptional patient care, and be able to not only rely on each other, but to maintain a presence and stay competitive and be able to continue thriving in this market.
Yeah, that's pretty spot on. There's a saying that always resonates with us. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go as a team.
No pun
right?
intended.
No pun. Exactly. That's right. That's right. Far. It's true. It's true, right? We recognize that along the way too, Mike. It's I think the industry is changing. There's a lot of other forces at play here. which is here to stay, right? Like the non-dentist, the private equity, they're here to stay, and it's only consolidating more and more.
Yeah.
But how do we come together as dentists, right? Like I've heard of this saying, and I know Anushka and Mike, you both would agree that the only time two dentists would agree with each other is that the third dentist is stupid, right? It doesn't always have to be that way,
Right.
right? It needs to be where we work as a cohesive unit together, collaborate, and do great things together, because ultimately it can be a win-win. And we're seeing that, we're proving that with you, right? Like I know the financials does come into the picture, right? When you partnered with us versus where we are 12 months ago, yeah, the finances are better and it is a win-win, right? And you should continue to win, and so should we.
It was already a very strong practice.
It was,
but
yes.
Thank
to
you.
even improve it together, it's been pretty incredible.
It's
to see that.
tough facing the person in the mirror and realizing what the things are that are holding you back.
Yeah.
And life's too short when you really think about it to get hung up on stuff like that. When you're trying to elevate and improve and get better and take it to the next level, to your point, the only way to do that is with a team.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I have to say, when the fact that you were talking about all those things you were thinking about, that is extremely forward thinking, because not everybody thinks that way.
Mm-hmm.
And we are very strong believers that dentistry should be in the hands of the dentist, and who better to partner with than other dentists? That's literally why we're here.
Agreed.
So that's amazing. I have the most important question for you right now, though, and that is, tell me the story behind the cowboy hat. You wear it sometimes, and I want to know what the story is.
There really isn't much of a story other than I really like the look, and you don't see it a lot up here in the northern states. I forget I have it on when I'm wearing it, but it's a cool talking piece. It strikes up conversation, which I think is really neat. A lot of people do a lot of different things to do that, and some people wear flashy jewelry or for me, just a simple cowboy hat, some cowboy boots. And I'll be honest, I mean, I'm almost 6'2". When I wear those boots, I'm 6'4". When you're standing up just a little bit higher, yeah, it gives you a slightly different perspective of what you're looking at. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I
there are
can't handle
times
any
I'm
more.
like,
Yeah, I can't handle any more of your handsomeness, Mike.
Oh, stop.
keep
Plus,
it PG.
as you get older, the hair thins, so you got to put something on there, right?
I think I'm getting there.
You might look good in a cowboy hat, Dr. Raj.
Except I'm not 6'2", and I won't be 6'4" when
You don't have to be. You don't have to be 6'2".
Go.
Awesome. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick lightning round.
Okay.
Yeah. Abhishek, would you like to go ahead?
Sure. Mike, what was your last impulse buy?
The last impulse buy, and it's not a glamorous one. We just bought our kids a car because I've got two drivers now, and one's got a job, and the other one's, I have three kids total, as you know, but the oldest one just got his first job, and the middle one's in high school, and when one's at work with one vehicle, what's the other one going to do if he doesn't have a car at his disposal? So we just bought a car.
That's so cool. Some
Awesome.
lucky children. Both you and Morgan are amazing. So great parents.
Exactly.
I wouldn't be anything without her. So
yeah.
So second question, what are the least likely 3 words someone would use to describe you?
Just 3?
Just 3. You can
Hey,
make
you know
it
what?
4.
We can start with 3. As
All
many
right.
as you want.
Lazy, unambitious, and unreliable.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Completely
we can
agree.
definitely get behind that.
We should add unresponsive and disorganized to those.
That's true. That is true.
Yep.
Yeah, very organized. What is your go-to karaoke song, Mike?
Ain't Going Down Till the Sun Comes Up by Garth Brooks.
Okay.
There are a
Well,
couple others, but that one's usually the main one.
Okay. Our next dinner date night is going to have to be karaoke.
All right.
Yes.
Well, I accept that challenge, but you're going to have to participate.
You may not want to stay in the hall, but we will, especially if I sing, not if Anushka is actually good.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wonderful.
Awesome. Mike, thank you so much. We really appreciate you hopping on, taking time out, and coming
My
on
pleasure.
with us. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Every time we talk, it's so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
today.
guys. Abhishek and Anushka, you guys are wonderful. I've appreciated every step of this journey and looking forward to many, many more years of doing this together with you guys. So I appreciate the opportunity and thank you so much.
Us as well.
Likewise. I'm Dr. Abhishek Nagaraj.
And I'm Dr. Anushka Gaglani. Thanks for checking out today's show, and we hope you can join us again next time.
Thanks for watching this episode of Filling You In, where we uncover the insights, trends, and stories shaping the dental industry. If you like this podcast, please share it on your social channels and visit Areo Dental Group on LinkedIn or on Instagram at Areo Dental Group. You can also subscribe to the series and check out all of our episodes on this YouTube channel or at areodental.com/podcast. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and let's keep elevating the dental field together.